Hello. Let's have a conversation about when creation started, when it will end, when the day starts or the yom starts, and when it ends, and when the month starts, and when the month ends. Um, Also, we can discuss when the week starts and when the week ends. Okay. So we want to leave no doubt here in this lesson, folks, of uh, that the creation started with Yahuwah creating darkness, and after 6,000 years or after 6 days, Yahuwah will end his allotted time to man with darkness. So his creation will started with darkness and will end with darkness. The month starts with darkness or the new moon and ends with darkness or the new moon, which starts the next month. The day starts with darkness from evening and goes through to the next evening and ends with darkness. Okay? The week also begins with darkness and ends with darkness. Okay. So this lesson here is going to be the undisputed evidence that will prove without a shadow of a doubt that this is all correct. That creation, the day, the yom, the week, and the month, and even the year all starts with darkness and ends in darkness. Okay? So let's get started by acknowledging who the Creator is and what He is. Okay? So let's go over to, we'll just say Isaiah 43. Actually, let's go to 42. Isaiah 42. And we'll just start reading some verses here real quick. Uh, let's go down to 5, 42, 5. Thus said the All, Yahuwah, who created the Shemayim and stretched them out, who spread forth the earth and that which comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it and spirit to those who walk on it. I, Yahuwah, have called you in righteousness, and I take hold of your hand and guard you and give you for a covenant to a people, for a light to the Gentiles, to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. And I am Yahuwah, that is my name. And my esteem I do not give to another, nor my praise to idols. So here we're finding out who the Creator is, Yahuwah, and only Yahuwah, no one else. It's Yahuwah. Go to 42, 18. Hear you deaf, and look you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger whom I send? Who is blind as he who is at peace, and blind as servant of Yahuwah? You see much, but do not observe. Ears are open, but do not hear. It has delighted Yahuwah for the sake of his righteousness to make the Torah great and esteemed. Okay, jump over to 43. And go to 6. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth, and all those who are called not by my name, whom I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. There you go. That's Yahuwah. Okay, jump down to verse 10. You are my witnesses, declares Yahuwah, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you know and believe me, and understand that I am He. Before me there was no all formed, nor after me there is none. I am Yahuwah, and besides me there is no deliverer. I have declared and delivered and made known, and there was no foreign mighty one among you. And you are my witnesses, declares Yahuwah, that I am all. And even from the day I am He, and no one delivers out of my hand. I work, and who turns it back? Thus said Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the set apart one of Yisrael. So there you go. He's our Redeemer. He's the set apart one of Yisrael. Okay? Our Redeemer, our Deliverer. We're His witnesses. Let's see Yahuwah talking now. 44:6. Thus said Yahuwah, sovereign of Yisrael, and his Redeemer, Yahuwah Sabaoth. I am the first and I am the last. Besides me, there is no Elohim. Bam! He's letting you know He's the one that created everything, and there is nobody else but Him. He's the only one. 44:17. And the rest of it He makes into mighty one. His carved image, He falls down before it and worships, prays to it, and says, deliver me, for you are my mighty one. They do not know nor understand, for He has smeared their eyes from seeing and their hearts from understanding. And no one recalls it to his heart, nor is there knowledge nor understanding to say, I have burned half of it in the fire, and I have also baked bread on its coals. I have roasted meat and eaten it. And shall I make the rest of it an abomination? Should I fall down before a log of wood? Feeding on ashes, a deceived heart turns him aside, and he does not deliver his being, nor says, is there not a lie in my right hand? There you go. If you're worshiping anything but Yahuwah, you're worshiping falsehood, idols, committing idolatry with stuff that is just ridiculous. You cut half of it up and you burn it for wood, and the other half you make a statue out and bow down and worship to it. What the heck, man? That's what it's saying, you know. Okay, scoot over there to 44:24. Thus said Yahuwah, your Redeemer. There, a Redeemer again. And He who formed you from the womb. I am Yahuwah, doing all, stretching out the Shemayim all alone, spreading out the earth and none beside me, with none beside me. He's doing it alone. Frustrating the signs of the babblers and driving diviners mad, turning wise men backwards and making their knowledge foolish, confirming the word of His servant and completing the counsel of His messengers, who says of Jerusalem, be inhabited, and of the cities of Yehuda, they shall be built, and her ruins raised up by me, who is saying to the deep, be dry, your rivers I dry up. Who was saying, Koresh, He is my shepherd, and He completes all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, let her be built, and to the Hekel, let her foundation be laid. Yahuwah does everything. Yahuwah is everything. It's all Yahuwah doing everything for his own pleasure. Okay. Go to 45:4. For the sake of Jacob, my servant, and of Yezreel, my chosen, I also call you by your name. I give you a title, though you have not known me. I am Yahuwah, and there is none else. There is no Elohim besides me. I gird you, though you have not known me. So that they know from the rising of the sun to its setting that there is none but me. I am Yahuwah, and there is none else, forming light and creating darkness, making peace and creating evil. I, Yahuwah, do all these. Did you catch that? I am Yahuwah, and there is none else, forming light and creating darkness. He created darkness, making peace and creating evil. Okay. Let's go over here to 18. It says, for thus said Yahuwah, creator of the Shamayim. He is Elohim, former of the earth and its maker. He established it. He did not create it to be empty. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahuwah, and there is none else. I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I have not said to the seed of Jacob, seek me in vain. I am Yahuwah, speaking righteousness, declaring things that are straight. And then we go down to 21. It says, declare and bring near. Let them even take counsel together. Who has announced this from old? Who has declared it from that time? Is it not I, Yahuwah? And there is no mighty one besides me, a righteous all and a deliverer? There is none besides me. Turn to me and be delivered, all you ends of the earth. For I am all, and there is none else. I have sworn by myself, a word has gone out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, so that to me every knee shall bow, every tongue swear. One shall say, only in Yahuwah do I have righteousness and strength. He comes to him. And all those displeased with him shall be put to shame. In Yahuwah, all the seed of Yezreel shall be declared right and boast. So let's jump over to 46:9 says, or 8 says, remember this, and show yourselves men. Turn it back, your transgressors, you transgressors. Remember the former events of old. For I am all, and there is no one else. Elohim, and there is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from of old that which has not yet been done, saying, my counsel does stand, and all my delight I do. Wow, that's so powerful. He is declaring the end from the beginning. So he's going to declare to us, in his word, he declares to us the end of mankind's reign to the beginning, basically. Darkness to darkness is how he begins it with darkness, and he's going to end it with darkness. He declares the end from the beginning. Okay? Begins in darkness, ends it in darkness. 47:8. And now hear this, you who are given to pleasures, who dwells complacently, who says in your heart, I am, and there is none but me. I do not sit as a widow, nor do I know the loss of children. Both of these come to you suddenly in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon you in completeness because of your many witchcrafts. for your numerous great potent spells. And you have trusted in your evil, and you have said, no one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge have led you astray. And you have said in your heart, I am, and there is none but me. But evil shall come upon you, you not knowing from where it arises, and trouble fall upon you, you being unable to put it off, and ruin come upon you suddenly, which you know not. Stand now with your potent spells and your many witchcrafts, in which you have labored from your youth. If so be you are able to profit, if so be you find strength. You are exhausted by your many counsels. Let the astrologers, the stargazers, and those who procrastinate by the new moons stand up and save you from what is coming upon you. See, they shall be as stubble, fire shall burn them. They do not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There is not a coal to be warmed by, nor a fire to sit before it. So they shall be to you with whom you have labored, your merchants from your youth. They shall wander, each one his own way. There is none to save you. So what this is saying is, if you have any other Redeemer, Deliverer, Creator, Mighty One other than Yahuwah, you have nothing to save you. Nothing else we're going to save you. All that other witchcraft, all that idolatry, all those statues, all those signs, all those symbols, all the religious leaders, all the demons, all Satan, nothing else can save you except Yahuwah. He's the creator of all things. He is our one living Yahuwah. Yahuwah is one. Love Yahuwah with all your mind, heart, and strength, and love others. Okay? Other than that, you're doomed. If you don't accept Yahuwah as being one, the one creator, the one deliverer, the one redeemer, the one creator, the one lawgiver, the one judge, the one living Yahuwah, and worship and praise Yahuwah, worship Yahuwah, and Yahuwah only, you're doomed. Nothing's going to save you. That's what it just told you. Isaiah 47, read it yourself. So I think this is enough. We'll stop right here with that. What I wanted to establish was the fact that Yahuwah is the one that created everything. Okay, he not only did he create everything, he is everything. He's the lawgiver, the judge, the creator, the redeemer, the deliverer. He's everything. Okay, got to get that. Got to get that. So now, as we study through this, undisputable evidence of when the creation and the day and the week and the month and the year and the Yom all start, and the Shabbat all starts with darkness and ends with darkness. Remember who did this, who made this. And if you dispute it after this evidence, scriptural evidence that I'm ready to present here in the scriptures, and you still dispute it and argue and quarrel against it, and is hard-headed, stiff-necked, then you're calling Yahuwah a liar. And you're arguing and quarreling with Yahuwah, the Ruach, because that's who's saying this stuff, and that's who made everything. So open your eyes and your ears, close your mouth, and listen to this undisputed evidence. Okay? And if you shun it and you throw this truth out, from here on out, you're going to be arguing against Yahuwah and calling Yahuwah a liar from what he's gotten written here. Because there's no way after this lesson are you going to be able to say otherwise. You can cherry pick all day long, okay? But you cannot, okay, deny the evidence that I'm about ready to present to you. You can't. You can ignore it, but you ain't no way you're going to deny it. Unless you want to burn. I'd be real careful with it. So here we go. Genesis number 1, chapter 1:1. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shemayim and the earth. We just read all about that in Isaiah, didn't we? And the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim was moving on the surface of the waters, and Elohim said, "Let light come to be," and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the dark he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. So what happened here? Well, let me tell you one thing right off the get-go. He didn't create the sun, the moon, and the stars until the fourth day. So what light separated, what he created first was the darkness. And what separated that darkness? Well, Yahuwah himself, of course. And so he created the darkness, and then he separated the darkness with his light, because he is spirit indwelling in unapproachable light. Okay? So since he's everywhere and everything's in him and he's in everything, where's the light, that we're seeing? Well, he is in a different dimension, different realm, a spiritual realm. We're in this carbon world. Okay, we can only see the carbon stuff. Our eyes are made, our senses are attuned to the carbon, to carbon data, of creation. Now, since our inner being, okay, we have an inner being that's spiritual, the inner man. Once in a great while, we'll get a glimpse of the spiritual realm, okay, or a different dimension, if you will. And I know I have, and I'm sure everybody else has too. Every once in a while, we'll see something out the corner of our eye or something or other. It's, oh, that's just your eyes playing tricks on you. Well, so be it. I think it's a glimpse into the spiritual realm, because our inner being, since our eyes are the center of the windows of our soul, or our inner being, I think our inner being sometimes gets a glimpse into the spiritual realm because it's spiritual. But anyway, get back to this. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So he created darkness, okay? Because there was nothing but Yahuwah. We just read he created darkness, formed light and created darkness. And the Ruach, which was the breath or the breeze of Yahuwah, moved across the surface of the waters. So he created in darkness, out of darkness, there was water, and his breath, or maybe his presence as he moved upon his creation, caused a breeze of some sort to just blow across the mayhem, or the darkness. And his light separated that darkness, and then his presence as he moved forward. If I go like this, I'm moving wind, ain't I? And if you were standing here, if I took a book and I went like this, you would feel that. You wouldn't see it, but you would feel that the breeze hit your face from the movement. See, so his movement, see what I'm saying, moved across the surface. His breath or breeze, okay, of his presence moved across the darkness and the waters, okay? And he said, let light come to be. Well, he was the light, so he must have materialized into this carbon world universe he was making, this different dimension of carbon, okay? And when he came into it, there was light, because he was light, and he lit it up. And the light came to be. And he said the light, he separated the light and the darkness, and he called the darkness that he had created Leah, or nighttime, and evening and morning was the first day. He was the light. He didn't create the day, the sun, the moon, stars of the fourth day. So I'm saying. So there you go. That's the first day. Begin with darkness, and he was the light of it. Okay, he was the only light there was at that particular time on day one. So it began, creation began with darkness. Okay. So then, if we go skip down to verse 4, creation day 4, we find out that he creates the lights. He forms the lights. Okay. And so Elohim said, let lights come to be in the space of the Shemayim to separate the day from the night, the Yom from the Leah, and let them be for signs and appointed times and for days and years. So the lights that he just created on day 4 was to be for signs, appointed, to keep track of appointed times. So it was like a schedule, like a calendar, and for tracking the days and the years. And let them be for signs in the space of the Shemayim to give light on the earth, and it came to be. And Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and also the stars. And Elohim set them in the space of the Shemayim to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the night from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 4th day. The 4th day. So, the lesser light, the greater light to rule over the day time, okay, was the great light giver, which spiritually is representing Yahusha. And the lesser light to rule over the night, or Laya, would be spiritually, would be Yehukanan the Immerser. Okay, as we read about in John 1. Okay, and we'll take a look at that here in a second. I know everybody's going, what? What's he saying? You'll find out. Just hang around. So here we go, man. They started off with darkness, and then on the 4th day, he created the greater light and the lesser light to separate in this carbon world that he created, this universe, to separate the nighttime, which he created, from to separate the darkness and the light. He created the sun, the moon, and the stars to do that. Okay, because he didn't stick around is with his light, and how he separates his ruach from his light, because he's spirit and dwelling in unapproachable light. Who knows? We don't know. There's no way we can understand everything about Yahuwah. So don't even begin to start acting like, well, where's he at then if he's this great light? He's in another realm. Somehow the lightness that he's dwelling in, the unapproachable light, stays in another realm or dimension, or heaven, if you will, but his spirit's able to journey into this carbon creation that he made, that we're in. See what I'm saying? So anyway, that pretty much, proves that is the case. And so let's just move on from there, and we'll go to, let's go take a look at Isaiah again. Let's go back over here and look at Isaiah 45 again. It says, I am Yahuwah, and there is none else, forming light. On the 4th day he did that, did he not? And creating darkness. He did that on the 1st day. Making peace and creating evil. I, Yahuwah, do all these things. So on the 4th day he created the light, the greater light and the lesser light. Okay? He also created life. On the 5th day and the 6th day, there was no life until after he created the light of the world. which is Yahusha. Okay? I know that's a little bit heavy duty there, but nevertheless, that's what Scripture tells us. So let's go to John 1. Let's get a look at John 1. See, in his weekly creation, 7-day creation period, he reveals the entire future, if you will, of mankind's reign on the earth, of our carbon reign, this carbon creation that he created. From day 1 to ending on day 6, and then his 7th day rest is all projecting the future of the next 7,000 years. And he also gives us hidden prophecy, if you will, in each day, projecting the most profound event to happen in each 1,000 millennium year reign, millennium 1,000-year time period. Okay, through his creation. We ain't going to get into all that, but let's get a look at John 1. And it says in here that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. And he was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life. And the life was the light of men. The light of men, Yahusha. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from Elohim whose name was Yahuchanan, the immerser. The one came for a witness. This one came for a witness to bear witness of the light. To bear witness of the light. The light, Yahusha. That all might believe through him. He was not that light, but that he might bear witness of that light. So John the Mercer was not the light, but he bore witness of the light, which was Yahusha. He was the true light, which enlightens every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came to be through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to become children of Elohim, to those believing in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the desire of flesh, nor of the desire of men, but of Elohim, the Ruach HaKodesh. Immersed with the Ruach. That's what they're talking about. And the Word became flesh and pitched his tent among us. And we saw his esteem as of only begotten of the Father, complete in favor and truth. Yahuchanan, the immerser, bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This is he whom I said, He who comes after me has become before me, because he was before me. And out of his completeness we all did receive in favor upon favor. And the Torah was given through Moses, and the favor and the truth. The Torah was given through Moses, and favor and the truth came through Yahusha Mashiach. No one has ever seen Elohim, the only begotten Son, who is of the bosom of the Father. He did declare. Now this was the witness of Yahuchanan when the Yehudim sent from Jerusalem priests and Levites to ask him, Who are you? And he confessed and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Mashiach. And they asked him, What then are you, Elijah? So he said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, No. Therefore they said to him, Who are you? So that we give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself? He said, I am a voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of Yahuwah, as the prophet Isaiah said. And those sent were of the Pharisees, and they asked him, saying, "Why then do you immerse if you are not the Mashiach, nor Elijah, nor the prophet?" And yet Yehukanan answered him, saying, "I immerse in water, but in your midst stands one whom you do not know, the one coming after me, who has become before me, whose sandal strap I am not worthy to loosen." And this all took place in Beth and Anya, beyond the garden where Yehukanan was immersing. So there you go. Yahusha is the light, the true light of the world, the light of man, and yet Yehukanan was the lesser light, but he didn't have any light of his own. The same as the moon doesn't have any light of its own. The only light a man has is the light that comes from Yahusha. Okay, that's our light. He's the light of men. We don't have our own light, much like the moon. The moon doesn't have its own light. It only reflects the light that shines upon it and lightens the world. See? That's what we are. We're like the moons. Yehukanan was the lesser light. The great light, the true light, the sun, the greater light reflected on the lesser light, and then his light shone on us. We became his light. He's the light of man, and then his light reflects off of us up to the other people, to the earth. Reflects the light upon the other people so that they can see his light through us. See that? That's why it all coincides with the fourth day in Yahusha being born, being executed, dying, and buried, and resurrected and ascended, and then sent the Ruach HaKodesh, all on the end of that fourth day. And then the fifth day and the sixth days when he created life, right? And so therefore, by receiving his Ruach, the Ruach HaKodesh in us, then we receive his light in us, which gives us life. Okay? So just think about that for a little bit. Okay, so let's get a look here at Jeremiah 4:22 real quick. "For my people are foolish, they have not known me. They are stupid children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. I looked at the earth, and I saw it was formless and empty. And the Shemayim, they had no light." Shemayim had no light. See that? He formed darkness first, folks. "I looked at the mountains and saw they shook, and all the hills were swaying. I looked, and I saw there was no man, and all the birds of the Shemayim had fled. I looked and saw the garden land was a wilderness, and all its cities were broken down at the presence of Yahuwah by his burning displeasure. Thus said Yahuwah, all the earth shall be a ruin, but I shall not make a complete end. On account of this, let the earth mourn, and the Shemayim above be dark. Because I have spoken, because I have purposed, and shall not relent, nor do I turn back from it." It started with darkness, folks. It's going to end with darkness. Okay? Let's get a look at Joel 2. It says, "Blow a ram's horn in Zion, and sound an alarm in my set-apart mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the earth tremble, for the day of Yahuwah is coming, for it is near. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness, like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. And a people many and strong, the like of whom has never been, nor shall there ever be again after them, to the years of many generations. Ahead of them a fire has consumed, and behind them a flame burns." So the earth is going to be dark, the day of darkness, and going to be burnt with fire. Fire on the earth, burning. These are the reapers. They're going to be fire in front of them, fire in back of them. They're coming when the earth's burning. Before them, the land is like the Garden of Eden, and behind them, a desert waste. And from them, there is no escape. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and they run like steeds. As the noise of chariots, they leap over mountaintops, as the noise of a flaming fire consuming stubble. As a mighty people set in battle cry, before them people are in anguish. All faces become flushed. They run like mighty men. They climb the wall like men of battle. Everyone goes on his way, and they do not break ranks. And they do not press one another. Everyone goes in his path. They fall among the weapons, but they do not stop. They rush on the city, they rush on the wall. They climb into the houses. They enter into the windows like a thief. The earth shall tremble before them. The Shemayim shall shake. Sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall give forth his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For mighty is the doer of his word. For the day of Yahuwah is great and very awesome, and who does bear it? Yet even now, declares Yahuwah, turn to me with all your heart, and with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning. And tear your heart and not your garments, and turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim, for he shows favor and is compassionate, patient, and of great kindness, and he shall relent concerning the evil. Who knows? He might turn and relent and leave a blessing behind, a grain offering and a drink offering for Yahuwah your Elohim. Wow, folks. See what I'm saying? It starts with darkness, it's going to end with darkness. Just scoot down there to 228, or actually 26. Then you shall eat and be satisfied, and shall praise the name of Yahuwah your Elohim, who has done with you so wondrously. And my people shall never be put to shame. So people are going to be protected during all this reaper stuff. Okay? In the fire. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and there is no one else. And my people shall never be put to shame. There again, he's telling you, hey, it's going to be me. Nobody else, me, Yahuwah. There is none else. And after this it shall be that I pour out my Ruach on all the flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your old men dream dreams, your young men see visions, and also the male servants and the female servants I shall pour out my Ruach in those days. And I shall give signs in the Shemayim and upon the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun is turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be delivered. For out on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be an escape, as Yahuwah has said, and among the survivors whom Yahuwah calls. So there you go. It's going black, man. The sun goes out. The sun goes out, the moon goes out, because the moon doesn't have its own light. Okay, it depends on the sun to shine upon it so it can reflect its light onto the earth. So if the sun goes out, the moon going out with it. Okay, the moon's going to reflect and look like blood, because the moon's going to be turned into darkness and probably a red dwarf. Sun, star, it's going to go red dwarf. That's when it just shrinks down, becomes a little red ball. And that red reflection of that sun, when the light goes out, is going to reflect that red light upon the face of the moon and make the moon look like blood. So the sun will go out, the moon can't shine, it doesn't have its own light. Just like we can't shine without the light, without Yahusha. We have to have the light of Yahusha in us. He's the light of men. Okay, he's the light that gives us life. Life is in him. It's in his light. If he doesn't reflect his light on us, we're not going to get life. So I'm saying he is the light. He was the light on the first day. He's going to be the light in the end too. In the millennium reign and forever into eternity, he will be the light reflecting on men. Okay? The stars obviously are going to fall out too. They're supposed to, their lights are going to go out too. Fall out. It's going to be shake the Shemayim. If they fall and they burn up, and we're seeing all these meteors, shooting stars all over the place as they're burning up and falling out of their place. Who knows? Something to that effect. But they're going out too. Yahuwah will be the only light, as he was in the beginning. The only light, true light source is Yahuwah. And he'll be the only true light source at the end as well into eternity. He's the light of men. You see all that? And so we go over here to Joel 3. It says, in 11 says, hasten and come, all you nations, and gather together all around. O Yahuwah, let your mighty men come down here. Let the nations be aroused and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I shall sit to judge all the nations on every side. Put in the sickle, for the harvest has grown ripe. Go down, for the winepress is filled, the vats overflow, for their evil is great. Throngs in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Sun and moon shall become dark, and stars shall withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem. And the Shemayim and the earth shall shake, but Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people, and a stronghold for the children of Yeshriel. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my Kadesh mountain, and Jerusalem shall be set apart, and foreigners shall not pass through her again. And it shall be in that day that the mountains drip with new wine, and the hills flow with milk, and all the streams of Yehudah shall be flooded with water, and fountains flow from the house of Yahuwah, and water the Wadi Shittim. Mitzrayim shall become a ruin, and Edom a ruin, a wilderness because of violence done to the people of Yehudah, whose innocent blood they shed in their land. But Yehudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem to all generations, and I shall avenge their blood, which I have not avenged, and Yahuwah shall be dwelling in Zion. He hasn't revenged anything yet, but he's going to on the day of Yahuwah. Okay. So this is giving us confidence, reassuring us that after this horrible and awesome great day of Yahuwah, when the sun goes out, the stars go out, the moon doesn't reflect any light, it's a day of darkness, the earth is burnt and everything on it, that we will survive. Yehudah will survive. Okay? And his people will survive. So there will be another day dawning of light, which will be the light from Yahuwah, and we'll live in eternity on a wonderful, beautiful new world and new Shemayim. Okay, with his Ruach in us. And his light will be the light of men, and we will dwell in his light, be the children of light forever. Okay, so that's reassuring us of that. So it's nothing for us to fear, but for the wicked and the evil and the wrongdoers, it's a day they should be fearing, and shouldn't be looking forward to it, that's for sure. I'm going to stop right here and take a break, and then I'll be back, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper. See you just in a moment. Hello, I'm back. Okay, so we pretty much covered the fact that the creation began with darkness. Was the first thing Yahuwah created was darkness, and it's going to end with darkness. Where the sun is going to go out, the moon will not reflect the sun's light onto the earth, so the moon will be out because the sun's out, and the stars are going to quit giving their light as well. And so now let's take a look at the days and the month and see when they start and begin here. And we'll make any sense out of that in the years as well. So Leviticus 23, it says, and Yahushua spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Yisrael, and say to them, the appointed times of Yahuwah, which are to proclaim, you are to proclaim as Kadesh Mikra. My Modim are these. 6 days or Yamam work is done, but the 7th Yam is the Shabbat of rest, a Kadesh Mikra. You do no work. It is a Shabbat to Yahuwah in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, set apart Mikra, which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between the evenings, is the Passover to Yahuwah. And on the 15th Yom of this month is the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 Yamam you eat unleavened bread. On the first Yom you have a Kadesh Mikra. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 Yamam. On the 7th Yamam is a Kadesh Mikra. You do no servile work. So there you go. And right off the get-go, the very first month on the 14th day, between the evenings, from evening to evening, the 14th day. Okay, first month, 14th day, remember that, the 14th day of the month on the first month. Between evening and evening is the Passover to Yahuwah. And on the 15th, which be beginning at that evening, on to the next evening, the 15th Yom of this month is the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 Yamam you eat unleavened bread. Okay? So, wow, huh? For the first day. So, on the 14th, from evening to evening, right? Okay, so let's take a look at something here real quick. Let's flip over to Acts 27. Acts 27, verse 27 through 33. And when the 14th night came, same one here. 14th. See that? We just Leviticus 23. So now we're talking about the same day on the first month, 14th. And when the 14th night came, as we were driven up and down in the Adriatic Sea, about midnight the sailors suspected that they were drawing near to some land. So taking soundings, they found it to be 20 fathoms, and a little farther they took soundings again and found it to be 15 fathoms. So they were getting closer to shore. And fearing lest we should run aground on the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and were praying for daylight to come. All right, so you got nighttime on the 14th day, evening. When the sailors were seeking to escape from the ship, when they had let down the boat into the sea under pretense of going to cast out anchors from the prow, Paul said to the captain and the soldiers, if these do not remain in the ship, it is impossible for you to be delivered. So Paul's telling the captain and the Roman soldiers, don't let them sailors leave on them safety boats or you're all going to perish. Keep them on the boat. Then the soldiers did cut the ropes of the boat and let it fall off. So they cut loose the safety rowboats so that the sailors couldn't escape off the main ship. And when day, or Yom, was about to come, so as we're getting really close to sunrise or daybreak here, the crack of dawn, if you will, Paul urged them all to take food, saying, the 14th Yom is today, and you have continued without food and eaten none at all. So there you go. The 14th evening came. All that crazy stuff went on all night long, and now they're all sitting there on this ship anchored, and the crack of dawn is coming. It's getting ready to become daylight on the 14th day. 14th night, now it's going to turn the 14th day. So common sense says at the end of the 14th day starts the 15th evening, or the new Yom of the 15th. Get that? That's what it's saying. And it correlates back here to Leviticus 23, what we just read. In the first month, on the 14th Yom of the month, between the evenings, the 14th Yom, between evenings, from evening to evening, is the Passover to Yahuwah. And of course, the Netzarim know that after the evening of at the end of the day on the 14th, that evening there starts the 15th, is the first day of unleavened bread that evening, that following evening, and that's when the Passover meal is actually eaten. Okay, it's actually eaten in the evening on the 15th. The first day of unleavened bread is when the Passover meal is eaten. Yahusha was our Passover. Okay, so Yahusha is our Passover meal. All right, so that pretty much, I mean, I don't know how you can go against that. It's from Yom is from evening to evening. There's no doubt about it. From Leviticus 23 right there, verse 5, and Acts 27, verses 27 through 33, plain as day, folks. I mean, there's not a whole lot of verses in here that's that clear. And then if we go down here, here's a big controversy here in the Leviticus 23, starts on 26, verse 26, okay? It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, on the 10th Yom of the 7th month. So he's continuing on. Now he's into the fall festivals, okay? Is the Yom of Atonement. The Yom of Atonement. It shall be a Kadesh Mikra for you, and you shall afflict your beings. So this is the fast, right? The Day of Atonement. And shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And you do no work on that same Yom, for it is a Yom of Atonement to make atonement for you before Yahuwah your Elohim. This is the fast. Paul speaks of the fast, this particular appointed time, Day of Atonement, in Acts 27:9, if you want to look that up. Acts 27:9. For any being who is not afflicted on that same Yom, which means if you're not fasting, he shall be cut off from his people. So this is the only day of the year that we find that we must fast. We're commanded to fast on that day. And any being who does any work on that same Yom, that being I shall destroy from the midst of his people. So it's a Yom Shabbat. It's a high Shabbat. All the rules that happens on the regular Shabbat apply, except for we're not allowed to eat. And on the weekly Shabbat, you're supposed to eat. It's a Kadesh Mikra. You do not work, a law forever, throughout your generations and all your dwellings. Now, listen to this real closely. It is a Shabbat of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings. It means rest and fast. on the 9th yom of the month at evening. So the 9th yom began the prior evening, went through midnight into the day, into the daylight, okay, on that 9th yom of the month. And then at evening, it turns into the next yom, which is the 10th. And that's up here. On the 10th yom of the 7th month is the Yom Atonement, Day of Atonement. So on the 9th, at evening, it started at evening, went through midnight through the next daylight hours, and it became evening again. That's the 10th. So on the 9th yom, so the daylight hours, okay, of the month, and then at that evening, past the daylight, that evening, okay, from evening to evening, you observe your Shabbat. Okay, so after the 9th day's over and evening comes, from evening to evening, the next evening is your Shabbat, is the Day of Atonement, the 10th of the 7th month. See that? So since it's not exactly perfectly says, if it said from evening on the 9th, after the 9th day was over, the 9th day of the month was over, and at the beginning, at the evening, and at the end of the 9th day, in the beginning, at the evening of the 10th day, from the evening on the 9th day, after the 9th day is over, to evening at the end of the 9th, at the beginning of the 10th, and then to evening at the end of the 10th, you observe your Sabbath, then nobody would be able to argue that point. So I'm saying, but it's not specific, but it's a little bit of common sense, and reading in context, you should have no problem understanding what this is saying. It's saying at the end of the 9th yom, at evening begins another day. And from that evening to that next evening is the Day of Atonement, which is the 10th. Because it goes right, if you go back to 27, on the 10th Yom of this 7th month is Yom Atonement. If it was speaking of the 9th, that was the beginning of the 9th, then it would be contradicting itself. So the scripture is not contradicting itself. The people are just not understanding what it's saying. The people are the ones that are confused. The reader's confused, not the scriptures. It's common sense. Just read that in context. It should be very easy to understand reading it in context. So there you go. Okay, and you can correlate that back to this over here. On the first month of the 14th Yom of the month, between the evenings is the Passover. And over here, the same thing. From evening to evening, you observe your Shabbat, the Day of Atonement on the 10th. End of the 9th, that evening begins the 10th day. From that point to the next evening, which would start the 11th, between those two evenings is the 10th, and is your Day of Atonement, your fast, and your Shabbat, your rest day, high Sabbath. Real easy to understand that, folks. And take that, correlate it with Acts 27, verses 27 through 33. And you can even go back over here to Genesis, if you will, 15, I believe. 15:15, and it says, "Now as for you, you are to go to your fathers in peace. You are to be buried at a good old age. Then in the 4th generation," this is Yahuwah talking to Abraham, if you don't know. "Then in the 4th generation they shall return here." Okay, so he's telling Abraham that his descendants are going to be taken into captivity for 400 years, is what he's telling them. They're going to live in darkness for 400 years. Okay? And then what? He created light, didn't he, on the 4th day? Brought them out of the darkness. See that? "For the crookedness of the Amorites is not yet complete, and it came to be when the sun went down and it was dark, So evening came, the sun went down, and then it became dark. So it's an evening right there. That see a smoking oven and a burning torch passing through those pieces. On the same day, on that same Yom, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abraham, saying, I have given this land to your seed from the river of Mitzrayim to the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay, so on that same Yom, for evening to evening, that was the Yom that the covenant was made between Yahuwah and Abraham. Okay, so not as clear as the other verses we just read, but if you read that whole chapter in context, chapter 15, it becomes fairly clear what's going on there, folks. All right. Okay, so I think it's just fairly clear here myself. I mean, I don't, let's turn to go to Isaiah 66. Go to Isaiah 66, verse 22. For as the new Shemayim and the new earth, or eretz, that I make stand before me, declares Yahuwah, so your seed and your name shall stand. And it shall be that from new moon to new moon, and from Shabbat to Shabbat, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares Yahuwah. And they shall go forth and look upon the corpses of the men who have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, and their fire shall not be quenched, and they shall be repulsive to all flesh. Okay, what is this saying? It's saying several things, okay? From new moon to new moon means from the beginning of the month to the next new moon. From this new moon, it starts this month, through the month to the very next new moon. From new moon to new moon, okay? So, and from Shabbat, which is the last day of the week, starts in the evening, to Shabbat, the next last day, the next seventh day. So it's a weekly count. From Shabbat through the next week to that next Shabbat. So Shabbat to Shabbat. Okay, so what is this telling us? Well, first of all, it's explaining to us that a new moon to new moon is totally different than what a Shabbat to a Shabbat is. They're totally distinct individual countings, is what it's saying. So you can't restart the count of the Shabbat to Shabbat, the weekly creation, with the new moon. It has nothing to do with it. They're separate counts, is what it's telling us. New moon to new moon, from Shabbat to Shabbat. What it's also telling us is that from new moon to the new moon is a month. It's 1 month. And then from that new moon to the next new moon is another month. New moon to new moon, we're counting. That's how we count the months. And the new moon is dark. So the month starts in darkness and it ends in darkness. It starts in darkness and ends in darkness, and so forth and so on throughout the entire year. See? So new moon to new moon. So the month is starts in the evening, or that evening in the new moon, the day of the new moon, to the next new moon. At the end of that evening. That's what that's telling us. The months go from darkness to darkness. That's how you count a full month. New moon to new moon. Had nothing to do with the week. The week had nothing to do with the new moon. They're totally separate from each other in the count. Shabbat to Shabbat is also telling us that that's how you count a week. You go from Shabbat, darkness, in the evening, when the Yom begins, then the sun goes down on the 6th day, and you go into the 7th day, begin the 7th day, to that evening. Evening to evening is a Shabbat. So from Shabbat to Shabbat, from darkness to darkness is 1 week count. That's how you count the week. Creation, remember when we did creation, it started in darkness, the first thing he created, and it's going to end in darkness on the day of Yahuwah. It's the same pattern. Exactly, folks. So what this is telling us. So creation started with the first thing Yahuwah created was darkness, and then his marvelous light separated the darkness, or illuminated the darkness, in other words, man, with his wonderful light. Okay, that's who he is. Okay, so he illuminated. So he created the darkness before he could illuminate, because he was all there was. And he's light. He's spirit and dwelling in unapproachable light. So it began in darkness. It's going to end in darkness. On the day of Yahuwah, the sun is going to go out. The moon can't reflect the sun's light if the sun's not there. So the moon's going out. And the stars will not give their light either. They're going to fall out, probably be shooting stars and just burning out, sizzling out as they go through space. Okay? So the new moon to the new moon is the same thing. The new moon is when it's a total dark disk. There's no horns on either side of that disk. No, there's no little crescent, like, if you want to call them that, or a horn that the Hebrews called them, aren't there. It's a total, complete, round, dark disk hanging in the Shemayim. That's a new moon. New moon to new moon. That's how you count the month. That's how you know what a month is. If it happens in 29 days, then there's 29 days in that month. If it happens in 30 days, then there's 30 days in that month. See what I'm saying? That's how you know how many days is in each month as it goes on. And the very first month started in the springtime, at the vernal equinox, in the spring. Okay, the first new moon of the springtime during that vernal equinox is when they begin their year. That's how the year began. That's with the signing of that new moon. Okay, and then on the first month, on the 14th day, at evening, that 14th day is the Passover. The next day, starting at evening after the 14th day's over and the evening begins, it starts the 15th, that begins the first day of unleavened bread, which is a high Sabbath, and the Passover meal is eaten on that first day of unleavened bread, not on the Passover day, on the 14th, see? Because Yahusha is our Passover. He was staked on that day, that 14th. He died around the 9th hour, which would have been around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, our time, how we know it. So anyway, new moon to new moon, month to month, Shabbat to Shabbat, from week to week. Okay, get it? And it also is telling us that those are two different counts. When you count the month, new moon to the new moon for that month, that's one count of. That's how you keep track of the month. How you record the month, the days of the month. Shabbat to Shabbat is how you record the days of the week. And that's how the only way they could do it. They didn't have the Gregorian calendar hanging up here on their wall somewhere where they could look at it and it's all written out there. They had to do it by the sun, the moon, and the stars. And that's how they kept track of the year, the month, and the days and the weeks. That's how they did it. And we all went through the Sanhedrin too, through witnesses. So it was a very well established procedure and formula that they did. They knew what they were doing. It's the only thing they could do. They were taught it from a child, So anyway, let's go on to get a look at Amos. Amos 5. Look at Amos 5, verse 10. It says, "They hated the one who reproves in the gate, and they despise the one who speaks the truth." They despise the one who speaks the truth. Anybody out there despising me yet? I'm just kidding. Therefore, because you trample on the poor and take grain taxes from him, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you are not going to dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but not drink wine from them. For I know your transgressions are many and your sins are great, afflicting the righteous and accepting bribes, and turning aside the poor at the gate. Therefore the wives kept silent at that time, for it is an evil time. Seek good and not evil, so that you live, and let Yahuwah Elohim Sabaoth be with you as you have spoken. Hate evil and love good, and sit upright ruling in the gate. It might be that Yahuwah Elohim Sabaoth shows favor to the remnant of Yusuf. Therefore, Yahuwah Elohim Sabaoth, Yahuwah said this: there is wailing in all open squares, and in all the streets they say, Alas, alas! And shall call the farmer to mourning, and skilled lamenters to wailing. And in all vineyards there is wailing, for I pass through your midst, says Yahuwah. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahuwah. Listen to this now. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahuwah. You're longing to see that sun go black, and the moon not give its light, and the stars not give its light. Day of Yahuwah. Woe to you who are longing for the Yom of Yahuwah. Should we really long for the Yom of Yahuwah? No, not really, because that's going to be a day of disaster. I mean, it's going to be a horrible and terrible and frightening day, isn't it? A lot of people are going to get burned up. The reapers are coming, right? So we shouldn't really long for that and look forward to that. But what we should be longing for and looking forward to and anticipating and great expectation toward is the return of the Messiah, the return of the King. That's what we should be watching and longing for, okay? Not the destruction of the wicked, really. What does the Yom of Yahuwah mean to you? It is darkness and not light. See, it is darkness, not light. As when a man flees from a lion and a bear shall meet him, or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. So it's not going to be a good thing. No matter what you do, it's going to be bad news all the way around. Is not the Yom of Yahuwah darkness and not light? So why would you long for that? You shouldn't, really. You shouldn't. Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? So why are you longing for the darkness, you know? You shouldn't. You long for the light, the return of Yahusha, the King. That's what we should be longing for. I have despised your festivals. Ooh, it gives me the chills when Yahuwah says that. Think about that, what he just said there. I have despised your festivals, and I am not pleased with your assemblies. Could he be talking about the Christians right there? Their holidays and their churches? Maybe he is. I have despised your festivals, and I am not pleased with your assemblies. Boy, that's making my brain smoke. Though you offer me burnt offerings and your grain offerings, I do not accept them, nor do I look on your fat and peace offerings. Take away from me the noise of your songs. Wow, the noise of your songs. Do they sell those songs for money? Praising Yahuwah in song and dance with string instruments and sell it for money? The praises of Yahuwah? Boy, they do, don't they? No wonder he despises them. Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I do not hear the sound of your stringed instruments. And let right ruling roll on like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Ooh, hallelujah. Yahuwah and his right rulings are coming, folks. He's going to know all the deception, all the false praising, worshiping, selling his songs of worship and dances for money, his word, his truth, his love for money, trying to sell his ruach to get money. I mean, that's crazy stuff now. That's crazy stuff. All right, let's run over here to Amos 8, verse 7. Yahuwah has sworn by the excellency of Jacob. I shall never forget any of their works. Shall the land not tremble for this, and everyone mourn who dwells in it? And all of it shall swell like the river, heave and subside like the river of Egypt. And it shall be in that Yam, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, and shall darken the earth on the Yam of brightness, and shall turn your festivals into mourning. Mourning, like you're mourning for the dead. And all your songs into lamentation. All your songs into lamentation. And being sackcloth on all loin, and bring sackcloth on all loins, and baldness on every head, and shall make it like mourning for an only son. Ooh, it's going to be weeping and gnashing of the teeth, folks. And it's in like a yam of bitterness. See, Yamim are coming, or days are coming, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall send a famine in the land, not a famine for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing the words of Yahuwah. Wow. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north to east. They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuwah, but they shall not find it. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's just totally amazing to me right there. I don't know about y'all, but that's kind of mind-numbing to me. It actually reminds me of Psalms 90. Let's go to it. Psalms 90. Start with verse, let's just start right at the top. Yahuwah, you have been our refuge in all generations. Before the mountains were born, where you had brought forth the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are all. You turn man back to dust, and you return, O children of men. For 1,000 years in your eyes are like yesterday that has passed, or like a watch in the night. You have swept them away. They are as asleep, like grass that springs up in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and springs up. At evening it is cut down and withered. For we have been consumed by your displeasure, and by your wrath we are alarmed. You have set our crookedness before you, our secret in the light of your face. For all our days have passed away in your wrath. We spend our years like a whisper. The days of our lives are 70 years, or if due to strength, 80 years. Yet the best of them is but toil and exertion, for it is soon cut off and we fly away. Who knows the power of your displeasure and your wrath according to the fear of you? Teach us to number our yamim, and let us bring the heart to wisdom. Return, O Yahuwah, how long, and be sorry for your servants. I go down here to Psalms 91 here. For he delivers you from the snare of the trapper, verse 3. From the destructive pestilence, the snare of the trapper and the destructive pestilence. He covers you with his feathers, and under his wings you take refuge. His truth is a shield and armor. So his truth is Yahusha, the Ruach, okay, is your shield and your armor. You are not afraid of the dread by night, or the arrows that flies by day, or the pestilence that walks in darkness, or destruction that ravages at midday. 1,000 fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it does not come near you. Only with your eyes you look on and see the reward of the wrong ones. This is speaking of the day of Yahuwah, folks. They're going to be falling left and right in tribulation days in the day of Yahuwah, and we're going to witness it only with our eyes. We're not going to experience it. That's what this is saying. You're going to see the reward of the wrong ones. That's their reward, is what's going to come upon them for their wickedness. It's not a good reward. It's a bad reward. They're going to burn up. They're going to be caught on fire and burn up and have pestilence, all around them. They're going to be dropping like flies. We're going to see with our eyes, man. 1,000 falling over there, 10,000 falling dead over there, all around us, but it doesn't come near us. That's the reward of the wrong, not the reward of the righteous. See that? Only with your eyes you look on and see the reward of the wrong ones. See? Because you have made Yahuwah my refuge, and the Most High your dwelling place. No evil befalls you, and a plague does not come near your tent. For he commands his messengers concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You tread upon lion and cobra, young lion and serpent you trample underfoot, because he cleaves to me in love. Therefore I deliver him, I set him on high, up on the high shelf, treasured possessions, because he has known my name, known his name, Yahuwah. When he calls on me, I answer him. I am with him in distress, I deliver him and esteem him. With long life I satisfy him and show him my deliverance. Wow, huh? Okay, so the day of Yahuwah we shouldn't be longing for, because it does not belong to us. What do we have to do with darkness? Nothing. So we don't long for the day of darkness, the day of Yahuwah. That's the reward of the wrongdoers, the wicked ones, the witches, the warlocks, the Satanists, all those people. That's their reward, the day of Yahuwah, not ours. What do we have to do with darkness? We're the children of light. See that? So we're going to dwell in light, in his true light, the light of men, which gives us life. That's the light that gives us life, okay, in eternity. All right? But so it's going to, he started out as being only Yahuwah, only light, in spirit and dwelling in unapproachable light. Then the first thing he created besides himself was already there, and he's light, was darkness. And he's going to end it in darkness. And after he ends the darkness and the evil ones, the wicked ones, get their reward, which is not a good reward, then he will be the only true light in existence for eternity. He will be our light. He will be the light of men. Okay? Okay, go to Zephaniah 1, verse 14. Near is the great Yom of Yahuwah. So it's in a year, it's near. So we entered into the last days at the ascension of Yahuwah, of Yahusha, or at the pouring out of the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? But that was all done on the same year. It was the end of the 4,000th year, at the end of the fourth day, at the twilight of the fourth day. Okay? And the fifth day begins, and the sixth day we can get life, right? Because of the great light, Yahusha gives us life, okay, after the fourth day. Remember, the days of creation, the 7-day creation week, Yahuwah did not create life and give anything his breath of life until the fifth day and the sixth day. Okay, first 4 days there was no breath of life given to anything. It was just all carbon. Okay, and darkness. Darkness, matter of fact. All right, so near is the great Yom of Yahuwah, near and hurrying greatly. The noise of the Yom of Yahuwah. Let the mighty man then bitterly cry out. The Yom is a Yom of wrath. That Yom is a Yom of wrath, a Yom of distress and trouble, a Yom of waste and ruin, a Yom of darkness and gloom, a Yom of clouds and thick darkness, a Yom of a ram's horn and alarm against the walled cities and against the corner towers. Sounds like the festival that no one knows the day or the hour, doesn't it? Or otherwise known as, or also known as, Festival of Trumpets. And I shall bring distress on men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yahuwah. And their blood shall be poured out like dust, and their flesh like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the Yom of the wrath of Yahuwah. Yeah, their statues, their gods are made of silver and gold and wood and stone. Ain't going to be able to save them from the day of Yahuwah. And by the fire of his jealousy, all the Eretz shall be consumed. For he makes a sudden end of all those who dwell in the earth. Gather together, nation without shame. Become the decree is born. Before the decree is born, the Yom shall pass on like chaff. Before the burning wrath of Yahuwah comes upon you, before the Yom of wrath of Yahuwah comes upon you. See, Yahuwah, all you meek ones of the earth who have done his right ruling, seek righteousness, seek meekness, if so be that you are hidden in the Yom of wrath of Yahuwah. What's going to hide you? Oh, righteousness and meekness. Seek righteousness and meekness and his right rulings. If so be that you are hidden in the Yom of the wrath of Yahuwah. Humility, meekness, gentleness, love, peace. The fruits of the Spirit. You got the Ruach HaKodesh in you. You ain't got nothing to worry about, folks. Okay, so I think we're starting to understand here a little bit more about what's going on, right? So let's get over here to Matthew 24 and verse 29, and it says, And immediately after the distress of those days, that's the final 3.5 years, at the very end of the 6,000 years. So you're right into the very twilight hours of the last of the 6,000 years allotted to man. Just 3.5 years. Those are the years that's known as the tribulation years, or Jacob's distress. Those are the years that Satan is going to be unleashed and able to go wreak havoc on the earth and mankind and do whatever his little heart desires to do. Unrestrained. It's going to be hell on earth is what it's going to be. Okay? In 3.5 years, Yahushua's going to cut him off. He's going to stop him, stop his activity. Okay? And then we're going to fly away, be caught up into the clouds with Yahushua as he's ascending with the first resurrection group that have passed away in Yahushua. Okay? In his return, coming back down to Jerusalem. Okay? So anyway, and immediately after the distress of those days, the tribulation years, 3.5 years, the sun shall be darkened. This is saying immediately. So as soon as Satan's cut off, that 6,000 years ends in that evening. Okay, it's the end of it. Okay. And the moon shall not give, those days the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and it cannot, because the sun's going to be out. The greater light that reflects upon it and gives it its light. It doesn't have its own light, just like we don't have our own light. We depend on the light from Yahuwah to reflect on us, to reflect up to other people. We're not the light. We're the lesser light. We're only the light. We're like the moon. We're the lesser light. We're only light if we have the greater light reflecting on us, the true light reflecting on us. He's the light of men that reflects on us. We don't have our own light, but his light reflecting on us reflects off onto other people, and they can see his light through us. Okay? And the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the Shemayim shall be shaken. Bam. That's Yahushua talking there. So he's kind of confirming it, isn't he not? Yes, he is. He's definitely confirming it. Okay, so let's go on over. If Yahushua is saying that we don't need no other witnesses, really, do we? I don't think so. Although there are two witnesses there, right? Because Yahushua had a dual nature. 100% man, human, 100% deity, 100% Yahuwah. Yahuwah was the only spirit indwelling the incarnation, or the Lamb of Yahuwah. Okay, the incarnation died on the stake and bled, right? The deity, Yahuwah, did not die. He just disrobed himself, removed his flesh when the incarnation died. The incarnation came to die and to bleed for the sacrifice of sins, the sins of the world. But Yahuwah did not die. Yahuwah just disrobed himself of the flesh and let the lamb hang on the stake. See what I'm saying? And then later on, he resurrected his own vessel, his own tent, back up from the dead. Did he not? And turned it into immortality? Yes, he did. He gave his own fleshly body to the Lamb immortality. Okay, he's going to be the high priest forever, right? Okay, let's go to Revelations 21, verse 23. Actually, verse 22. And I saw no temple in it, speaking of the new city coming down from Yahuwah, New Jerusalem. And I saw no temple in it, for Yahuwah Al Shaddai is its temple, and the Lamb. And the city had no need of the sun nor of the moon to shine in it, For the esteem of Yahuwah lighted it, and the Lamb is its lamp. So there's no need for the moon and the stars to be lit back up, or the sun and the stars, and the sun reflect on the moon. You don't need to, because the light of men is among us. He's the true light. He's the light giver, man. Life giver as well. So his light gives us life, man. That's what's going to be happening at the end. We don't need that sun, moon, and stars anymore. They were put out at the end, remember? Started in darkness and ended in darkness. Now we're talking going into the millennium reign here now in the eternity. On into eternity. His reign does not end. The light's reign does not end. See that? And the nations of those who are delivered. So nations of those who are delivered. So there has to be quite a few people who are going to be living in eternity, that they're able to form nations. Okay. And those who are delivered shall walk in its light. See, they're going to walk in its light. He's going to be the light of men. Okay. And the sovereigns of the earth bring their esteem into it. So there's going to be sovereigns in those nations of people that are delivered. Okay, and they're going to bring esteem into the new city to worship. All the sovereigns will have to come in there during the festivals and esteem Yahuwah, walking in his light. See, so there's going to be quite a few people in eternity, man. You know. And its gate shall not be shut at all by day light, for night time shall not be there. So no nighttime, folks, because his light is eternal. And they shall bring the esteem and the appreciation of the nations into it. There you go. The esteem and the appreciation of all the nations into the city to worship and honor and praise Yahuwah, who is the light giver. Okay? So the sovereigns, the nations, we're going to bring the esteem of the nations in there. There's got to be a lot of people to make up a nation. Can't just be, you can't have 100 nations and 2 or 3 people in each nation and call it a nation. A nation's a throng it's a massive amount of people to make up a nation. Okay? And there shall be no means enter into it whatever is unclean, neither anyone do an abomination and falsehood, but only those who are written in the Lamb's scroll of life. So all the religions, the abominations, the falsehood, the religions, the men's governments, men's teachings, men's traditions, falsehood, lies, deception, delusion, the demons, the devil, none of that's going to be. It's going to be all gone. So it ain't no way that can go into the new city, because it's not going to exist. There's no darkness or wickedness there. It's all going to be good, righteous, right rulings, clean. Love will reside there. Truth and love will reside there, because that's who Yahuwah is, in light. Okay, that's all it's going to be there. Okay, so we're all made in his essence, in his likeness, in his image, his essence. You know, and who is he? Well, it says Yahuwah is love. So we're going to be love. We're going to be love and dwelling in light, in his light. You know, given life by his light, in love. You know. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it, and I think that's plenty of proof right there, okay, that creation began with darkness, and it's going to end in darkness on the day of Yahuwah. The new moon means that the month, okay, it starts in darkness and it ends in darkness. And the Yom began in the evening, it begins in the evening and ends in the evening, and therefore the Yom Shabbat, the day of rest, is no different than any other Yom. So it also begins in the evening and ends in the evening. Okay? And the week as well. You know, so the first day of the week begins in darkness and it ends in darkness. Okay? And there you have it. So if we get rid of all the darkness, in the beginning, before he created anything, there was light. There was only Yahuwah who was light. In the end, there's not going to be any darkness. There's only going to be Yahuwah who is light. He's going to be the great light that reflects upon us, because we're not our own light. His great light is going to reflect on us, the lesser light, and then his light will reflect off of us onto eternity, man. And that's where we're all going to be. Sons, children of light. Sons and daughters of light, of Yahuwah. See that? So there will be no need for the sun, the moon, and the stars. Yahuwah will be the light, the life-giving light of man. Okay? And we all will be saturated, engulfed, totally engulfed, and saturated, encompassed in love. Love, 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 and love. Yahuwah is love. And so are we. And we're going to be in our full capacity of love. When we're in eternity, we're going to be dwelling in his full capacity of love. We're going to be just like him. We're going to be his children, man. The children of darkness and the children of the Father of lights will be long gone, man. Children of lies, I mean. The father of lies, the children of lies, the children of darkness, they're going to be all gone. Ain't going to be no more need for that. So I hope this helps everyone understand a little bit what's going on. You know, because, like I said, the creation week, okay, reflects or prophesies to us through hidden secret prophecies of Yahuwah, okay, implanted in those 7 days of creation, that kind of tells us how the 7,000 years are going to go, okay? And like I said, the fourth day, when he created the greater light and the lesser lights, that's basically Yahusha, who's the greater light, who reflects off of us, we're the lesser light, because we don't have our own light, like the moon don't. So I'm saying, so it was prophesying that Yahusha would come, be born, would be staked and die, would be buried, resurrected, and ascend, and then send back the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh to put give us the light, the little deposit of the seed of a light in us, okay, so that we are sealed for the day of redemption with his light, which is the Ruach, because Ruach's Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is light. See, he's the life-giving light bearer. See how Satan tries to usurper everything about Yahuwah? So be careful, because Satan tries to duplicate and replicate and shadow and copycat everything that Yahuwah does in order to trick you and fool you into following him, and instead of the Father of lights. Saying he's actually the father of darkness, what he is, and he's going to be eliminated along with the rest of the darkness. Okay? So there you have it, folks. Plenty of proof and evidence that the Yom Shabbat starts in the evening and ends in the evening. Creation started with darkness, it's going to end in darkness. The month starts with the new moon in darkness and ends in darkness. The week begins in The evening in darkness and ends in darkness. But in the very end, nothing will exist except for the true great light. Thank you for watching, folks. Bonus feature time. My favorite part. Bonus feature time. Don't you just love reading the word of Yahuwah? Man, I could do it all day long. Don't you wish we could just sit around together all day long, every day, and just read out of the word of Yahuwah and discuss the word of truth? Wow. What a dream life that would be, huh? Okay, let's go to Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. See, Yahuwah is making the Eretz empty and making it waste, and shall overturn its surface, and shall scatter abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest, and with the servant, so with his master, as with the female servant, so with her mistress, so with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the creditor, so with the debtor. The earth is completely emptied and utterly plundered, for Yahuwah has spoken this word. Wow. Kind of going back before the fifth day, huh? Back when there was no life existed, right? So he ended in darkness, and now he's going to wipe everything out, make it go back to being empty and void again. No inhabitants. Crazy, huh? The earth shall mourn and wither. The world shall languish and wither. The haughty people of the earth shall languish. For the earth has been defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the law, broken the everlasting covenant. Wow. So that's why all this is going to happen, because everything that men's doing. It's pretty sad, isn't it? Therefore a curse shall consume the earth, and those who dwell in it be punished. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth shall be burned, and few men shall be left. Oh, there you go. So there's no doubt what's going to happen here. The sun is going to go out. The stars are going to quit giving you their light. The moon's going to turn into appear as blood because of the sun going out, and it's not shining any more light on that lesser light, right? And then he's going to burn the earth and everything in it. Basically, it's going to return to being void, and inhabited like it was in the beginning, before he created life and gave his breath of life to his creatures. And they became living, alive. Fifth and sixth day. First 4 days, it wasn't no life. So we're going to return back to that time period, what it sounds like. Back before he created the sun and the moon, he's going to turn them off. Like just turning off a light switch. Bam, gone. It's going to happen like quick. Wow. Okay. Let's go on to Peter. 2 Peter chapter 3. This is now, beloved ones, the second letter I write to you. This is 2 Peter. In which I stir up your sincere mind to remember the words previously spoken by the set apart prophets, and the command of the master and deliverer spoken by your emissaries. Knowing this first, that mockers shall come in the last days with mocking, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all continues as from the beginning of creation. So they're going to be mocking about, where's he at? Where's he at? It's been 2,000 years. I don't see him nowhere. Everything remains the same, just like it was back in the old times, back when he first created everything. Nothing's changed. Okay? And they're just going to go doing what they want to do. Okay? Because they think Yahuwah's done forgot about them. He's not paying attention anymore. He's just letting the earth run its course, natural course. He has nothing to do with it. So they're mocking. They've come to their mindset has reached a point where they think Yahuwah doesn't care, and he's not involved in the activities of the earth anymore, of man or the devil or anything. He's just letting them do what they want. Okay, and nothing's going to come out of it, good or evil. That's the mindset people are in today too. They're in that mindset. They're not. They have no expectation of his return. Okay? For they choose to have this hidden from them, that the Shemayim were of old, and the Eretz standing out of water and in the water, by the word of Elohim, through which the world at that time was destroyed, being flooded with water. So they're choose to have that hidden from them. They're choose not to recognize that, the great flood, the first time around, which was a warning of sorts about what was going to happen in the end. Okay? Being flooded with water, and the present Shemayim and the earth are treasured up by the same word, being kept for fire, to a yom of judgment and destruction of wicked men. Okay, so by the same word, it's going to be destroyed by fire this time, not water. So the Shemayim and the earth is going to be destroyed. Okay? But beloved ones, let not this one thing be hidden from you, that with Yahuwah, one yom is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one yom. So Yahuwah created everything in 7 days. So 1 day is 1,000 years. This is a prophetic timeline. Okay, this is our prophetic understanding. We're given that for us to prophetically understand Yahuwah's prophecies that's in his 7-day creation. So 1 day is 1,000 years. So the first day is a 1,000-year period. The second day of creation is another 1,000-year period. The third day of creation is another 1,000-year period, so forth and so on, up to the end of the 6th day. Okay, is 6,000 years allocated to mankind. At the close of that 6,000th year, okay, and evening comes, that's the start of the 7th day, or the last 1,000-year period, which is better known as the millennium reign of Yahusha. And that 1,000-year period, all of creation is going to rest in Yahusha. So for that 1,000-year period, every day for 1,000 years is going to be a Shabbat day, a rest day. The whole creation is going to rest for 1,000 years, man. It's some 1,000-year rest, millennium rest. It's what's the 7th day that Yahuwah rested on is shadowing is 1,000, that last 1,000-year period, the 7th 1,000-year millennium. Okay, that we're all going to rest in Yahusha. He's going to be our rest, okay, every day. Even creation, the trees, the rocks, the animals, everything is going to get to rest. No more striving, no more wars, no more hatred, no more sin, Everybody's going to be chilled out. Okay, and our works is going to be truth and love and peace and joy and happiness and gentleness and meekness and humility. It's basically the Spirit's going to be on everyone, man, even the animals, and we're all going to be producing the fruits of the Spirit in that millennium reign. Okay? Yahuwah is not slow in regard to the promise, as some count slowness, but is patient toward us, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. So Yahuwah's will is not for anybody to perish. He wants everybody to come into repentance, but he knows that they're not going to. He knew that from the beginning, but yet, because he's pure love, he chose to go ahead and make vessels that are made for common use, and vessels that were made as a treasured possession. And he knows who his treasured possessions are before he created anything. But out of love, he went ahead and created the darkness and the wickedness because he still loved them, man, enough to give them life, at least a little taste of life and temporary life, as brief as it is, because he loved them enough to give them life. You know? Problem is, a lot of the wicked and the evil people and the demons and Satan and them don't appreciate the light of life that he gave them, you know, and they're really out seeking revenge on his entire creation for being created, for being born. They're seeking revenge for being born, you know, and they hate it, you know, so that's why they don't choose life. We have a choice between life and death. You know, they're choosing death because they hate life, and in the meantime, they're going around going crazy, causing all kinds of wickedness and evil and havoc upon everybody else in creation and everything because of revenge. They're taking out revenge on his creation for being born or created. But wow, how deep is his love for his creation and his creatures, that he would go ahead and give them life, even though he knew that they would choose death and hate him. But his love surpassed all that, and he wanted them to know existence and know him and know love and light and truth, even though he knew that they would reject it and choose death. And do the things that they doing, man, for revenge for being born or created. Wow, that's some type of love right there. Now, that his love is far beyond human love. We can't even fathom his love. I don't think even our human love, you know, that we know when we're deeply in love with a woman or a woman with a man, and we're the deepest love we've ever felt for somebody on this planet, right? I mean, really deep love for each other, right? That's probably not even a drop, okay, of pure love that Yahuwah contains. It's probably not even one drop of his pure love. It's probably just a micro, very micron speck of his love in us, man. His love is awesome and everlasting. It never fails. You can read about his love in the love chapter. It defines Yahuwah. Yahuwah's love. Read 1 Corinthians 13. And you're going to be reading the definition of Yahuwah, because he is love. Yahuwah is love. Scripture's written in Scripture that anyone that does not love does not know Yahuwah, because Yahuwah is love. And that's what we're going to be too in the end. We're going to be full of his love, that's for sure. Let's continue on verse 10 then. But the Yom of Yahuwah shall come as a thief in the night, or the Leah, in which the Shemayim shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with intense heat, and the earth and the works that are in it shall be burned up. Wow. Okay, so the elements is, what's the elements? Well, that's air, right? Air, uh, water, fire, soil, whatever. That's the elements. So the elements are going to be burned up with intense heat. That's crazy. Everything's going to just go. It's going to just totally to eliminate everything, basically, man. And all the works that are in it shall be burned up on the earth. So everything that you see around you, that your possessions, everything is going to be fried. It's going to be burnt up. Nothing's going to be left. You're just going to cook it. Burn it all up. Seeing all these are to be destroyed in this way, what kind of people ought you to be in set apart behavior and reference, looking for and hastening the coming of the Yom of Elohim, through which the Shemayim shall be destroyed, being set on fire? Even the Shemayim's going to be set on fire. And the elements melt with intense heat. Wow, man. It's going to be something else. Right? What kind of behavior should we have knowing that? Good behavior, righteous behavior, humility, walk in humbleness and meekness, knowing and fearing Yahuwah. And though he's going to be what he's getting ready to do, and I think very soon. But according to his promise, we wait for a renewed or a new Shemayim and a new earth in which uprightness dwells. So we know that he promised that we will, even though he's going to destroy everything with fire, that he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth, right? And give us new bodies, immortal bodies. So we know that he's promising that for those who have good behavior and are obedient to his 10 love commands and love him and enter his covenant, his everlasting covenant. And he's Ruach HaKodesh. It dwells us and gives us light. Right? Light is life. It says the light of men is he's the light, and the light is life, gives us life. Eternal life. If he's indwelling you, see that? But according to his promise, we wait for a new Shemayim and a new earth in which uprightness dwells. So then, beloved ones, looking forward to this, do your utmost to be found by him in peace, spotless and blameless, and reckon the patience of our Master as deliverance, as also our beloved brother Paul wrote to you according to the wisdom given to him, as also in all his letters, speaking in them concerning these matters, in which some are hard to understand, which those who are untaught and unstable twist to their own destruction, as they do also the other scriptures. You then, beloved ones, being forewarned, watch, lest you fall from your own steadfastness, or amunah, being led away with the delusion of the lawless, but grow in the favor and knowledge of our Master and Deliverer, Yahushua Mashiach. To him be esteemed both now and to a yom that abides. Amen. Okay, so you then, beloved ones, being forewarned, watch, lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, your own belief, your own amunah, your activated belief, and activated love, amunah, being led away with the delusion of the lawless. What's the delusion of the lawless? Doctrine of demons. The doctrines that are false and taught by men made up by man, authored and written by man or by demons that are misleading you from righteousness. What righteousness? Obedience to Yahuwah's love commands. His ten to bar them. Okay? If it leads you from, if any doctrine, if it's a religion, you should get out of it. Stay away. Don't even mess with religions. It's of the devil. It's demon doctrine. Okay, and made up of men whose father is the father of lies. Okay, so that's number one. But if it's trying to lead you away from being obedient to the ten Devarim or Yahuwah's love commands that's written in your heart when he enters you, goes you. If they try to lead you astray and tell you that those don't matter or they're abolished or you don't have to obey those because the law, Yahuwah abolished the law, Yahushua abolished the law, that the law was staked to the crooks, nailed to the crooks, so we don't have to obey the law no more. Any of that kind of stuff, that's an abomination. That's falsehood. That's teaching you lawlessness. Okay, and lawlessness will get you burnt, or will get you thrown into the lake of fire. Well, there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth, folks. It's not going to be pleasant. Okay, and that's what this is telling us right here. This is what Paul's trying to warn us about. All right. Watch you then, beloved ones, being forewarned of what's coming, the day of Yahuwah, being forewarned. Watch, lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, being led away with the delusion of the lawless. See, the delusion of the lawless. Okay. So that's the false doctrine of the demons, man. Look out. I want nothing to do with that. Okay? All right, let's go to Revelations 21. Revelations 21. Says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. So apparently, the sea is no more. Apparently, all that fire that melted the elements with intense heat must have evaporated all the water. So all the water was also burned up, right? With intense heat, because it said the elements. Water is one of the elements. All right. So the sea is no more. And I, Yehuchanan, saw the set-apart city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Yahuwah, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the heaven saying, see, the sukkah, or the tent of Yahuwah, is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahuwah himself shall be with them, and be their Yahuwah. And Yahuwah shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, no mourning, no crying, and there shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. And he who was sitting on the throne said, see, I make all things new. All things new. And he said to me, write, for these words are true and trustworthy. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. To the one who thirsts I shall give of the fountain of the water of life without payment. The one who overcomes shall inherit all this, and I shall be his Yahuwah, and he shall be my son. But as for the cowardly, and the untrustworthy, and abominable, and murderers, and those who whore, and drug sorcerers, and idolaters, and all the false, their part is in the lake which burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. Which is the second death. So they're going to be resurrected unto the white throne judgment. They're going to have to die a second time. So apparently they're not going to be given immortality. They're just going to be raised, stand before the judge of the universe at the great white throne judgment, and their name's not in the book. They're going to be thrown into the lake of fire and have to die again, the second death. It's scary stuff, man. And so let's go over here to Revelations 22, and we'll wrap this up. 22:12, and see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me to give to each according to his work. I am the leaf and the taw, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. The first and the last. The first, the light and the first, and at the last, he's going to be the light again. The only light there is the great light. Light and light. All that darkness in between there, going away. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs to the tree of life. What commands? His love commands. That's what. Universal law of love. Okay? Universal laws of love. Love commands. That's what the Ten Commandments are, and that's what the first and second greatest command is. They're all love commands. They teach you and command you to love Yahuwah and love others. Because in the end, folks, it's all there's going to be is pure, perfect love. That's it. So get used to it. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs to the tree of life. They'll be able to live, have eternal life, and to enter through the gates into the city, through the New Jerusalem. Be able to go in there into the light and worship the light. But outside are the dogs and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the idolaters, and all who love and do falsehood, 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 falsehood. I, Yahusha, have sent my messenger to witness to you these things in the assemblies. I am the root and the offspring of Daud, the bright and morning star. And the Ruach and the bride say, come. And he who hears, let him say, come. And he who thirsts, come. He who desires it, take the water of life without pain. The water of life, the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? Gives you life. He says, if you drink of these waters that I give, you will never see death. The living waters, the Ruach HaKodesh. Open your mouth wide and receive the Ruach of Yahuwah. Okay? So, there you go. Notice here that it says in the Ruach in the bride say, come. So the Ruach in the bride. So the Ruach's in the bride, you know. You have to have the Ruach to be the bride. The Ruach and the bride are together, meshed together as one. They're not separate at all. So the remnant, I believe, will be the bride who will be with Yahuwah always, everywhere he goes. They're going to be with him, dwelling with him. You know, as husband and wife is one and lives together, so will the bride be the remnant, will be the bride of Yahuwah living together with him for eternity. And the rest of the ones, we was talking about the nations and the throngs that was as the sands of the seas that couldn't be numbered, and white robes at the altar and all that, and the goats and the sheep, you know, the sheep being given eternal life. Those are the ones that are going to make up the nations, and they're going to have sovereigns, and they're all going to come in and worship and praise Yahuwah on his festival days, and even Shabbat, Yom Shabbat will continue on through eternity as well. Because personally, I think that, and this is just me now, you know, you do your own research. You don't have to believe it because I say it, but to me, I believe that the seven thunders in Revelations at the end that are sealed. Nobody knows what they are. He said he made them stop and seal it. I think those are the 7 days of creation. Again, afterwards, after the millennium reign, Judgment Day, Satan's destroyed, all the beast system and everything's destroyed. Wickedness, evil, and sin is judged. The only thing that remains is his children of light, his chosen in him. In the New Jerusalem, I believe it's going to come down onto the new earth. There's going to be a new Shemayim, new heaven, and new earth, and new Jerusalem. We're going to have new bodies. I think that the ones after all that judgment of sin and the wickedness and everything's judged, that we're going to get to watch him create the new heaven and the new earth. And we'll see the new Jerusalem coming down upon the new earth. That's what I believe. I think that's what the seven thunders are that are sealed and they're not revealed in Revelations. It's going to be the 7 days of creation all over again in the 6 days. And then on the 7th day, we're going to rest after we watch him do all his work like the messengers did the first time around. We'll probably be shouting and joyful and shouting and clapping, going nuts as he's creating everything again. And then on the 7th day, we're going to all rest. He's going to rest. We're going to rest with him. And that's going to be the Yom Shabbat again. And so, therefore, that 7-day period, including Yom Shabbat of creation, is going to be reestablished. And it's just going to go on into eternity. And we're always going to be resting on the Yom Shabbat. Okay? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I know I did, and learned a lot. Hopefully you did too. And there's no more disputing, folks. The creation started in darkness, ending in darkness. Yom starts in the evening and ends in the evening. Darkness to darkness. The month starts in darkness, the new moon, ends in darkness, the new moon. The year starts in darkness at the new moon of the first month and ends in darkness. Okay, when that new moon comes back around 1 year later, so the Yom Shabbat is no different. It starts in the evening and goes to the evening to evening on the last day, the 7th day. In the 7th millennium, the 7th day, or the millennium rest of the 7,000 year period, that 1,000 year period makes up the 7th day, is going to begin in darkness too. Okay, because the sun and everything's going to be put out, right? Until Yahushua comes back and lights everything back up, right? And that's going to be it. There's no end to his reign. He's going to be, that light will never go out at that point. So the light was there in the very beginning. That's all there was Yahuwah was the light, and that's all the light that's going to be at the end. There's going to be no darkness. It's going to be light at the end. So light to light. All the darkness in between gone. See that? So I don't think there's any disputing that anymore. It's pretty plain, really. All the little cherry picking verses that we can grab out of there and try to say, well, no, because look at this verse. It says daytime before it says night. It says day and then night. That proves the day comes first. That's just stretching, man. That's just playing with words there. Just because I say day and night or night and day, that don't mean nothing. You still know I'm talking about the same day, even in our language. You know what I'm saying? So you say, well, how long did you work? I say, I worked day and night, man. You're going to say, oh, he worked that whole 24-hour period, that whole day, that whole yom. If I say, man, I worked night and day, man, you're going to think I worked for one full 24-hour period. It's just a play on words. It's not proving anything. The verses that we read together here in this lesson are clear and clean verses. They use dates. Okay, there's dates involved in those, man. And so it proves it without a shadow of a doubt that it's from evening to evening. It's, it's clear. Those cherry-picked verses are not clear. You can't use them as evidence, man. They're not clear enough. It can just be somebody said it wrong, or perhaps they're just the way they spoke in the region they came from. Or you see what I'm saying? Or they just get. I mean, sometimes I say stuff out of sync or out of, the way it's supposed to be said. Just thinking faster than I'm speaking or whatever, or speaking faster than I'm thinking. One of the two. So you can't go by that. You gotta find the most clearest, precise, verses or passages in there, okay, that actually give us dates and so on that substantiates when these timelines begin and end. And I think we've accomplished that in this lesson. Okay? So stop being stubborn and stiff-necked. Come around. Admit that the word of truth is true. Yahuwah knows what he's talking about. He's the one that created everything, as we found out when we first started this lesson. It's Yahuwah and Yahuwah alone. He's the only one. Nobody else. We can't just use our understanding, of what we think it should be based on cherry-picking verses, or because somebody else has come up with all these verses, a whole list of verses that say that, date that mentions day before night, and then say, here, this proves that, the Sabbath starts in the daylight hours and goes from daylight to daylight, or from daylight through the night to the next, until the next daylight comes up, or from midnight to midnight or whatever. I mean, that's all they're doing. Okay? They're just trying to find as many verses that uses day before night to substantiate their theory. And that's all it is a theory, because every one of them verses cannot substantiate the claim accurately and precisely without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, the only ones that can do that are the ones we just read. And they're pretty clear. Very clear, actually. Okay? So, there you go, folks. You got the truth, and I hope you're hearing it. And we need all to pray for each other, pray for the body of Yahusha, pray for edification of the body, pray that we get clarification and understanding of scriptures. Pray that Yahuwah opens up our eyes and our ears to understand the scriptures, so we can become one as him and his Father are one. All right? We need to be one. Nobody above the other. Walk in humility and meekness and gentleness and patience with each other. Okay? Just because we don't understand something doesn't mean it's right or wrong until Yahuwah gives us the truth. It opens up our minds to the scripture. If we try to do it ourselves by cherry picking verses and trying to compile evidence that to prove what we think is right, then we're in error. We're not supposed to do that. Okay. And if there seems to be any type of a contradiction going on in your mind, then that right there tells you that something's wrong with what you're thinking. Because Scripture does not contradict itself at all. So that's one hint to back off and something's wrong. So anyway, like I said, I enjoyed this lesson with y'all, and thank you for watching. And remember to stay in love with Yahusha. So long, Nazarene. Brother Love, Yahuwah.
Living water, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah, Yahusha. Living water, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah, Baruch haba